Hello, everybody. In this video on the Economics and Politics unit, we're going to be taking a look briefly at labor unions. So let's start off by looking at this graphic. This graphic shows the labor force participation in these different sectors of our economy over the last 100 or so years. As you can see, since the early 1900s, white-collar jobs or service sector jobs have been steadily increasing. And after plateauing in the early and mid 1900s, blue collar jobs or manufacturing type work has been steadily decreasing and is now at the lowest level it's ever been. Agricultural jobs, of course, as the United States went through the Industrial Revolution, fell to nearly zero. So why this is important and relevant to the discussion of labor unions is because labor unions have traditionally been focused in blue-collar jobs. So as the number of blue-collar jobs declined, labor union participation also declined because these white-collar jobs and service sector jobs tend not to be unionized. The more people that participate in these jobs, the less likely they are to be involved in a labor union. Now, what is a labor union? Simply put, a labor union is a group of workers who get together to collectively bargain for their working conditions and for their rights and pay as workers. So instead of being an individual and having an individual relationship with your boss, you as the workplace, all of the workers together collectively bargain and communicate with the boss or the people in charge. So having and being in a labor union gives workers power. If you are unsatisfied with your working conditions or your pay or the safety of your working environment, and you go to your boss and you say, hey, I don't think I'm getting paid enough, or hey, I think it's kind of dangerous to work here, or hey, something about the way that our business should change, or something a way about my job should change, your boss is likely to say, well, that's going to cost money, I'm not going to do that, and then you're left with no changes. Or worst case scenario, well, you don't like it, well, you're fired. Right? You don't really have any power at all in the relationship between employee and boss as a singular employee. Now, when you're in a union and all of the employees communicate this message, that does have power. Because while the boss can still say, well, too bad, you're fired, if the boss decides to do that, now the entire operation shuts down. And with the operation shut down, not only are you not making money because you've lost your job, but more important to the boss isn't making money, right? So this is the part that gives labor unions power. Workers organize as a balance to the power that the leadership or the boss has. It doesn't put them on an equal playing field, but it most certainly elevates the amount of power that workers have. Now, as we looked at in that previous graphic, for the last several decades, union membership has been on decline. And in the United States, union participation rates are the lowest that they've been since the mid-1900s. And because of this, we see some reactions in the economy. One of the main reasons why there's such great economic disparity between people, right, the 1% and the 99%, one of the reasons why is that there's no labor unions, there's not enough labor unions to bargain for better wages. Over the last several decades, the productivity of the American worker has gone up and up and up and up and up. American workers are the most productive of any workers on the planet. The amount of work that gets done by an American worker in 1 hour beats the amount of work that gets done by any other worker anywhere. Okay, so we are the most productive workforce. But because we have such low labor union participation rates, we don't benefit from that increased productivity. That increased productivity has value, right? There's more money being created for every hour of work that we put in, but that value is going to the business owners instead of the workers. Labor unions are a way to counter this. Labor unions are a way to recover some of that increased productivity value and put it in the pockets of American workers through their paycheck. Okay, so the reasons behind some of the union decline have been what I explained before about the decline in blue-collar jobs. Also, there's been a concerted effort from the ownership class, from that boss and corporate class, to destroy unions, right? If you are a business owner and you're taking 90%, 99% of the profits, you don't want a labor union telling you that you have to now take 98 or 97%. Right? That's one less yacht that you can buy. You don't want that to happen, right? So you are very forcefully against unions. Very interestingly, there was a union vote in an auto manufacturing plant in Georgia a number of years ago, where Volkswagen was opening a new plant and is used to working with unions because they're a German company, and the German workforce is highly unionized. Because of that, they have much higher wages for doing the same kinds of jobs that Americans do. But the workers, the American workers within that Volkswagen plant, they voted against the union. It would have granted them higher wages, better working conditions. It's what the corporation wanted because that's what fit their model and what they were used to, but they still voted against it. Why would they vote against it? Well, at the same time that this vote was happening, there were many political leaders and other business leaders outside of Volkswagen who were advocating very heavily for those workers to not vote to approve the union. The concern that they had was that if this Volkswagen plant votes to approve the union, other workers in other plants for other companies or in entirely other industries may see the benefit of this and decide that they want a union for themselves too. So it's in the working class's interests that they unionize, but it's in the ownership class's interest that they absolutely do not unionize. Right? That is the last thing that they want. So there's been this concentrated, very powerful effort by the ownership class to demonize unions, to make people think about unions as being, union workers as being lazy, to make people think about unions as being corrupt and criminal, to make people think about unions as being expensive, right? You have to pay dues into the union. What they don't tell you is that those dues that you pay into the union come back to you sometimes 5 or 10-fold in higher wages, more vacations, better benefits, and all kinds of other things. Okay. There's also been changes in laws that have allowed for unions to shrink and to go away. These are called right-to-work laws. And let's take a look at a map that shows which states have right-to-work laws and which don't. As you can see, in Illinois, there is no right-to-work law. What is a right-to-work law? Sounds like a really good thing, right to work. I want a right to work. Everybody should have a right to work, right? Are there people who don't have a right to work? Well, that's not good, right? Everybody should have the right to work. It sounds different than what it is. A right to work law says that if you don't want to be in a union, you don't have to be in the union, even if your company and coworkers have voted to establish the union. So this sounds like it might be an okay thing to do, but let me explain to you why this is damaging to unions. Let's say you are in a factory who is looking to unionize. In order for the factory to unionize, a majority of the workers have to vote to approve it. So at least 50.1% of the people have to vote to approve the union, and if they do, then the factory gets unionized. Once it is unionized, then the union hires lawyers, they hire accountants and other people to do the negotiating with the business owner, right? To negotiate for those higher wages and to negotiate for those better benefits. And whether you voted for the union or not, those lawyers and accountants are negotiating benefits for you. So even those 40% of the people who voted against the union, they too are going to get better paychecks, they're going to get more vacation time, they're going to get better healthcare coverage and all those other things. Without right to work laws, like in Illinois, if your company votes to unionize, whether you voted for it or not, you then contribute to help pay for this lawyer, to help pay for this accountant, to do this negotiating for you. You are, after all, going to be benefiting from the things that they bring: higher paychecks, more vacation pay, etc. In states with right-to-work laws, like Wisconsin and throughout the South, it means that if you don't want to pay into that union, even though you're getting that higher paycheck and those extra vacation days and those better benefits, if you don't want to pay for that, you don't have to. So right-to-work laws create what's called a free rider problem. It's that people can reap the benefits without ever having to pay for it. Think of an example. If we were all sitting in class and I said, next time class meets, let's have a pizza party. Everybody chip in $1 and we'll buy pizzas and then everybody can eat. The next time I said, let's all have a pizza party. If you want to chip in $1, you can, but no matter how many people chip in $1, we'll still have pizza. So then 90% of people chip in $1, we buy the pizzas, 10% of the people don't chip in $1, but they still eat the same amount of pizza. The next time, other people say, well, those people didn't pay for any of the pizza and they still got pizza. I'm not going to pay for the pizza and I'm going to still get pizza. What eventually happens is there's not enough money to buy pizza, and then pizza parties go away. This analogy is synonymous with right-to-work laws and unions. When people don't have to contribute to the union, some won't, but they'll still get the benefits of that union. Other people will see this and they'll stop paying too. And eventually, so many people will stop paying that the union can't exist at all. There's not enough money to hire the lawyer. There's not enough money to hire the accountant. And the labor union goes away. And when that happens, the paychecks go back down, the benefits go back down, the working conditions go back down. Okay? This is the effect of right-to-work laws. It sounds different, right to work. It sounds like something that's overwhelmingly positive, right? But it has connotations and effects that are not immediately obvious. So again, in this video, we've looked at the changing nature of the American workforce and the different sectors that workers participate in, what labor unions are, some reasonings behind their decline, and what right to work means and how it affects workers and the benefits that they have. If you are accustomed to having a weekend or having a schedule that you get ahead of time when you're supposed to work and when you're not supposed to work, those things are brought to you by previous generations' unions. If you are accustomed to the idea that you're going to get a set schedule, right, and you're going to know ahead of time when you're supposed to be there or not, or that when you are working, that you get 15 minutes to go to the bathroom, or you get a half an hour to go eat a meal. Those things are brought to you by previous generations through their unions and fighting for those things through their unions. A lot of the things that we take for granted these days about our jobs and the benefits that our jobs give, even simple things like breaks, right, or the ability to complain about something, those things are brought to us by previous generations having fought for those things in union negotiations and labor negotiations. So the more union declines, the more of those things we see taken away. So that now the concept of the 40-hour work week used to be something that was standard everywhere. And now people are working 50 and 60 hours, right? The idea that you would get time and a half for when you worked overtime. The idea that you're guaranteed to have things, right? That you're guaranteed this or you're guaranteed that. These are slowly starting to go away because American workers generally don't have a seat at the table anymore when these decisions get made. They get that seat at the table by belonging to a labor union. So the more labor unions decline, the more the American worker is left out of these kinds of decisions and left with less money, less benefits, and less power and decision-making in their workplace. Okay? It'd be interesting to hear your feedback and comments on this, so there's a section below where you can do that. Take care.